Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Kernels of Truth, brought to you by Progress Kentucky. Folks, really exciting week to be covering Kentucky's breaking political news because I tell you what, people cannot stop talking about whether Mitch McConnell is dead. So, if you don't know the history of Progress Kentucky and Kernels of Truth, when we launched, I think 5 years ago, it's been a minute, we were actually the Mitch McConnell Retirement Committee, and our weekly live stream was called Moscow Mitch Monday. So we have a long love-hate relationship with Mitch McConnell. So we are going to really rip that story apart and check into what's going on with Mitch and whether he's headed to that big retirement in the sky or not. So we'll cover that. We've got another ongoing story we like to keep up on, which is, of course, Matt Bevin. Our former governor, least popular governor in modern Kentucky political history. We'll also be checking in on some interesting stuff that the Attorney General, Russell Coleman, is doing. This is like the second time in a month we've given Russell Coleman some kudos. So I don't know what that says about us or it says about him, but that broken clock theory apparently of politicians is right on track. And then I think what's most interesting, what I'm most excited about this show truly is our interview. We are just really thrilled to be joined this week by just a badass troublemaking journalist, John Russell. He is a award-winning correspondent for the digital news outlet More Perfect Union. He's got a great track record of reporting on the concerns, the politics, the working class from Appalachia and elsewhere. Can't wait to talk to him. So glad to have you here for it. So let's get into it. Let's check in with our co-host. Let us know who you are, where you are, and who is on your BITIN list. So I'm Aaron, coming to you from Chilesburg, the wilds of Chilesburg here in Lexington, Kentucky. And I'm going to put on my BITIN list Graham Platner. So Graham Platner, that guy. Red flags all over the place. Maine voters, ignored them. And now what? I don't know. So as we talk about senators, we can talk about a wannabe senator who probably ain't going to be a senator. I don't know what the breaking news is on him, if he's actually announced he's not running any further, if he's dropping out. But seems like the momentum is headed towards that direction for sure. But, all right, Kim, are you there?
I sure am, Aaron. How are you?
Doing all right. Good to be here with y'all.
Good to be here with you too, and our listeners and viewers, of course, as always. I'm coming to you live. I've been gone for a couple of weeks, but I'm coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky, Jefferson County, the largest county in the whole Commonwealth, and also home to the Kentucky Derby, Run for the Roses. But on my biting list tonight, on the absolute deplorables, is the Medicaid fraudsters. And the reason why I say that, just right here in Kentucky, we have a conservative rate of maybe 3% of fraud on Medicaid. And that's roughly about $390 million a year out of our $14 million budget. And here recently, also our Attorney General and many others, the feds, also cracked down right here in Louisville. This one woman, she was always on TV begging for money. She had a nonprofit and she was entangled in an $11 million scheme. So this just falls into the hands of Trump, and they're talking about taking away the fraud. And I'm all for that. But it's just bad when it comes to this. And then they can say, well, we can cut Medicaid, whatever the case may be. Look at all of this fraud. Well, there was a separate civil judgment also in Eastern Kentucky, $15.2 million just from a day treatment facility for children. So that's on my biting list tonight, the Medicaid fraudsters.
Medicaid fraudsters. No one likes a fraudster. I don't think, but it is interesting, Kimberly, your point, like it gets, the worst stories possible get uplifted as like, see, that's why we can't have federal programs that help people, because there is fraud that exists. Someone's getting away with something. But yeah, I don't know that it's not ever exciting to hear about it, but they do prosecute people. The reason we find out about it is because they're going after them, and they usually either pay big fees, fines, or go to jail, or both. So that's one thing. We should do more of that, I suppose. Certainly. All right, Chris Priest, I know you're there because I can see you. How are you? On your biting list today, and where are you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm here on the farm in Berea, Kentucky. And on my biting list today is all those Republicans that supposedly had a 20-minute conversation with Ding Dong Mitch, who might be dead. And because I just think they're lying. I just think they
All right,
are.
we're gonna get into this. We are gonna get into this. We are teeing it up now. There's no way we can't talk about it. I've already talked about it at the top of the show. We're talking about it now. We're talking about it shortly. But there are a couple news items we're gonna get into first, right? So our news of the week, but 100% agree on the biting list. Thanks for sharing, everyone's folks. All right, so the biggest, I guess, thing that I want to encourage everyone to do between now and November is to get involved, right? Kind of wherever you are, you should get involved. And I want to just check in. If you've not been to one of our Flip the Six postcard parties, we really, really want you to join us. So since the beginning of the year, we've been organizing volunteer nights for folks to handwrite postcards to voters who are unlikely to vote in midterm elections. Asking them to take a survey, share their concerns about how our economic and political systems are functioning and how they think our politicians are responding to their concerns. West 6 Brewing has been loaning us their barrel rooms since we launched the campaign. Since primary night, Wise Bird Cider has been welcoming us to their distillery district cider bar. Both spots have great food, great NA options in addition to those namesake beverages. But we just organized a new event in Frankfurt at the Kentucky Coffee Tree Cafe. That was earlier this week, thanks to Teddy from Postcards to Politicians and Mary from the Coffee Tree Cafe for wanting to collaborate on that project, and for Kit and Annabelle for helping to make it happen. These are really fun events, connecting with folks with similar concerns about the state of our democracy, to connecting those concerns to the strategic effort to really make a difference. So the ongoing schedule, we're pushing really hard through July. We're doing a ton of events. We'll be at West 6 next Monday, which is the July 13th. We'll be at Wisebird on July 21st. So second Monday at West 6, July 13th. And the third Tuesday at Wisebird on July 21st. So we've made it through about 15,000 of our 20,000 voters that we're trying to get handwritten postcards to. We are shifting into high gear to get through the rest by the end of the month, because we then want to mail those out. So please join us. Please spread the word. You can always find our up-to-date volunteer efforts on our website or sign up on Mobilize. There's that progressky.org postcards link. Check it out. So we really need to step up and help out to complete our program and win the 6th district, right? That's the unicorn we've got, is a open, competitive congressional seat centered in Lexington and the 15 counties surrounding Lexington. On our next volunteer night on July 13th, we're going to hear from one of the activists who launched the tactic of deep canvassing. So developed deep canvassing, a process by which kind of open-ended conversations with unlikely voters can help increase turnout by as much as 69%. Folks, that is unheard of, that you can actually get that type of response from your field activity. So if we could replicate those numbers with our universe of voters, we would absolutely win this race and help flip the 6. So here's what you can do. You can join us. You can bring your crew. You can bring your friends. You can come by West 6 on Monday. And number 2, you can help us fund the campaign. So one bulk mailing job costs about $12,000. And that we would like to do 2 of those. The postage alone for our initial handwritten postcards is over $12,000. We've had some generous support already, but to run our full program for maximum impact, we're going to need more donors to get behind the effort. So please consider making a generous donation to our Act Blue page. Most importantly, share our project to your friends who want to help stop Trump, because this truly is our best opportunity to win a critical House district to help flip the seat. So flip the House. Sorry. So 117 days to make a difference. We need our friends and supporters to lean in and leave it all on the field. 117 days, folks. All right. So that's my pleading for you to join us and get involved. Now we will do News of the Week, which I think the first story for News of the Week is coming to us from Chris.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, we're giving some props to AG Coleman. So there have been some serious complaints out of a nursing home in Salyersville. So, more Eastern Kentucky. I drive through there every time I go visit my family in Martin County. And so it's a nursing and rehabilitation center. And in recent years, they've been receiving a lot of complaints. And the Lexington Herald did an article on this. And let me tell you something, if you go look it up, just be warned, there's a pretty gruesome picture that they put up in there. So one of the complaints was that there was an 80-year-old woman who had went in there with a 10-inch surgical incision on her back. And a month later, when they left, they found it in far worse condition. I'm not going to go into the details of how bad, but it's far worse. If you want to know the details and see the picture, you can go look it up. And they've, and that person was transported to hospice care and then later died. And this facility had a bunch of low ratings and complaints for a while, and so they're actually, AG Coleman's actually looking into this, and there's have been some fines, and so kudos that our government here in Kentucky is working to help protect us from crazy stuff like that. There's having helped. So some of my grandparents deal with their health problems with nursing homes and stuff. There was always like weary stuff about which nursing home or rehabilitation center that they could go in to get rehab, to whether they were actually going to get help or not, because there were rumors about various different places. And so it's sad to see that some of the rumors I've heard about other places, that they were definitely very true about, or alleged true about this place in Salyersville. So what do y'all think about this?
Yeah, I think it's outrageous, the kind of poor care that we allow these nursing homes to provide. The fact that they're doing an investigation, good, but the fact that people died and that there were so many reports and that they'd been tagged already as a underperforming poor care facility, and things weren't done, that's what leads to this just tragic and clearly incredibly avoidable death. And again, trigger warning, that's a gift link, so you don't have to be a paid subscriber to the Lexington paper to read that article. It's a good article, but just be wary of that image. It's gonna stick with me. It is horrible. So I don't know, Kimberly, have you had any experience with managed care or nursing homes? And it's just, I don't know. What's your
Yes. It was many years ago for my mom, and it was only for rehabilitation, because at the Fraser Rehab, you could only be there for 6 weeks, and then after that, you would have to go to a nursing home. So just going down the spin down process of how to get it financed, to having to almost go there every single day to make sure that your loved one has someone that's coming to see them, to make sure everything's going well. But also, we're going to see more people in nursing homes, and possibly more people that really can't afford what you want to call, quote unquote, the nicer ones, because they're trying to take away family members from getting caregiving money. So if that happens to go through, then you're going to see more people in nursing homes. And unfortunately, I've heard about stories like this consistently. And plus, I'm a true crime fanatic. And how many shows have I seen about different nursing homes where, the different residents have been, killed, and, molested and all kinds of horrific things. So yeah, we need to stay on top of it. Our seniors have paid their dues in this life.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right. So next story is a related story. This is more of a look back. This is our question on this story. What would Ralph Alvarado think about this story? So I was on the Lexington Herald Leader website checking out this investigation, and I just let's just check in and see what other stories are in the Herald Leader about what kind of treatment people are getting in nursing home. And our man John Cheeves, who wrote this story, has been on this beat for a minute. So if you recall, all the way back in 2018, 2019, then state senator Ralph Alvarado, one-time chair of the Kentucky Senate Healthcare Committee, currently is a carpetbagging Tennessee MAGA doctor, but one time was in fact a state senator. In case you missed it, he quit his job as a state senator to take that job as the Tennessee Healthcare Commissioner just weeks after he was reelected to his Senate seat. So who saw that coming? All right, but when he was in Kentucky, when he was in the state Senate, he was also a doctor who worked exclusively for nursing homes that were rated below average or much below average for their quality of care, and fairly famously said, look, we can't set standards for how many people we can have on staff caring for the elderly, caring for those who need rehabilitation, because they're just not very good jobs, and people won't take the jobs. So that's why we couldn't set minimum employment standards for nursing homes. Yeah. Huh, interesting. Maybe you could take a pay cut, Dr. Alvarado, doctor for 5 or 6 below average nursing homes at one time, healthcare director, and then also, having a hard time hiring people. I know, pay them more. I bet they'll show up. I bet they'll take the job if you pay them more. So yeah, again, getting back at that point that Kimberly made earlier, just the quality of care, the cost for care, the system that we've got right now, fundamentally broken, and absolutely not providing for people. So Alvarado, though, he has a solution: hire fewer healthcare workers. That's his answer for you. So, all right. Quick thing. Our next story, I want to move on because I know we're going to dig into Mitch quite a bit, but another update we like to do, just checking in on whether Matt Bevin is in jail yet. Unfortunately, the update here is that Bevin is not in jail yet, but in just 20 days, he's being required to attend a hearing in person. Can't Zoom in from Maine. This hearing is over his son Jonah's efforts to hold him to financial account for him and his wife's then wife abandonment of Jonah in a Jamaican youth abuse academy. If he doesn't bring his complete financial documents, which these documents will show, he has not paid federal income taxes since 2021. Former Governor Matt Bevin will be arrested. So hope springs eternal, folks, that MAHA Dr. Carpetbagger Ralph, Eldercare Abuse Alvarado, his one-time running mate, will end up where he belongs. So there we go. All right. So those are our quick 2 update stories. I'm sorry, our first quick update story, and now update story number 2. Kimberly, we're going to turn to you.
Well, I have a lot of news when it comes to the conspiracies, the truth, the facts surrounding Senator Mitch McConnell. We do know that there was a phone call that came in from Washington of someone that was unresponsive. To date, we still do not know exactly who that person was. There is speculation, of course, that it was Senator Mitch McConnell.
Who else do we think it was? Who else do we think was that call for?
I'm just saying. I'm just reporting the news, okay? I'm just reporting what is in front of me about this particular situation. We do know that McConnell has been hospitalized since June the 14th. There was a lot surrounding that because his wife, Elaine Chao, decided to go to stay in China actually for quite some time. She did leave on the 12th of June, so she didn't leave after he was hospitalized. But in a statement that was given today, it stated that the health situation did not warrant her coming back to the States for her husband. Also, our governor, Andy Beshear, our great governor of Kentucky, sent a letter to Mitch McConnell demanding that he update his constituents on his health as rumors swirl about the Republican, his condition. Nobody knows, but we're hearing different congressmen and also the GOP pundit analysts, so to speak, from CNN, right here from Louisville, Kentucky, know him very well. Scott Jennings says that he had a 20-minute conversation with Senator McConnell, talking about the war in Ukraine, talking about this, that, or whatever. But we did know on June the 22nd, there was notification given that McConnell was not going to be able to vote on that particular day in session. So here is where the conspiracies go wrong. You've got this group of people not hearing from any Democrats that they've talked to McConnell and had this lengthy conversation with him, as these Republicans have. Some are saying they're conspiracy theorists that are saying that McConnell is already deceased. However, as I've done some research, it is very, very hard to keep a body this long. So maybe we might need to X that out. Now, is he conscious or unconscious? This is another conspiracy that has been floating around on social media and in personal conversations that we do not know. We have not seen McConnell. There has not been a statement coming out from McConnell himself. We're just getting one now from his wife. And also a statement was put out by senatorial hopeful Charles Booker, who's also running for U.S. Senator to take Mitch McConnell's seat. We need to know, McConnell, what is the deal with you? I don't know if we're going to get that information or not. However, as we are the constituents of Kentucky, whether we voted for him or not, he has a right and a duty to us as we the people to inform us if our senator is okay enough to do his job or if he's not, so that the special election process can go on. This is the time to go ahead and retire early, if there ever was a time. So there's a lot of statements coming out from everyone wanting to know. And when I looked today, and even a few moments ago, to see if there was any new updates on this, every article and every periodical is about Mitch McConnell. Where is Mitch McConnell? It's almost like, where is Carmen Sandiego? Where is Mitch McConnell? Is he still in the hospital? Is he still alive? Is he conscious? Is he not? Is he really talking to people? Are they lying? Is this some big conspiracy, as I've also heard on social media, to keep that seat warm, so to speak, to get what they want to get out of the Senate for their bills and votes? So it'll be interesting to see, Aaron. Anything you want to add to this debacle?
Well, I know Chris had shared an article earlier that referred to, I think the headline had a term we haven't used yet. But I don't know. Chris, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I mean, supposedly Lauren Loomer broke that he's brain dead, which is dead. Like Mitch, we know how crafty and savvy of a politician Mitch is. He would certainly have a contingency of, like, if I'm dead, just, smoke and mirrors until the election. That way,
Do you think this is a plot? This is like Mitch's, like, his scheme is like, yeah, I'm not doing well. I can see that. So I'm gonna in case I go brain dead, here's what I want you people to do. I want you to total Weekend in Bernie's, pretend I'm fine. You know, if you can somehow get my like shriveled corpse onto the floor of the Senate so I can keep voting, that would be ideal. But if not, we can just pretend that, Elaine's out of the country, so she can't, tell anyone what to. Who, like, here's the thing about conspiracy theories, like, who benefits? Like, what's the benefit of him being, I don't know, like stuck in the seat longer? Because some people have like linked this to Thomas Massey somehow, right? So here's the way the law works. If he is, dead, if he's brain dead, and they say like, look, he's not doing his job, we need a new senator. The governor then gets to call a special election. There's like so many days that he has to give notification so that the parties can figure out what they're going to do for their candidates. There wouldn't be time, obviously, for a primary. So, there's like this, like basically 60 days. It's like 56 days. And then so they're running out of time, right? Because as we know, there's 117 days between now and our next election in November, right? So the fact they would have to do a 60-day thing, like, so if he doesn't, if they don't call it by August, I guess there's no way they could do really a special election. But even if they do a special election, thinking about it, and when this is happening, like, only thing you're going to be able to do is put somebody in for that lame duck session between the election and the next Senate being sworn in, right? Because he's already retiring. We're already, electing his replacement. So I just don't understand why there'd be this like cloak and dagger. There's like some untoward, like, do we really care if we have another? You can. Why do we care if we got a different? Because all they're going to do is like all the parties are going to do to elevate candidates is just make, the Democrats will say it's Booker and the Republicans will say it's Andy Barr, and that's who you would be picking from. Is the same people you'll be picking from for the the long-term Senate seat. So there's no way there's like, how does Massey get on the ballot? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Also, he's got a job for that exact duration that they would be putting someone in for a special election. So it's not like there's a new election for the general that Massey could get in on the ballot, right? So unless he's gonna like, I'm gonna step away from the House because I think it's cooler to be a senator for 20 days or whatever. Like, I don't. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it.
He wouldn't get it right now. He wouldn't get it. But in history, there have been powerful people in history, and I know about 3 right off the top of my head. For one, JFK, who had a serious illness. Was it Asperger or something? I can't remember what it was. But it was what now?
Addison's.
Okay. Well, it was kept so under wrap, and there was times for weeks at a time he was really unable to do his job, but it was hidden so well from the public. It also brings to mind for me Eleanor Roosevelt and Theodore Roosevelt. He was sick forever, and they honestly said, as history is being brought to us more and more, we found out that basically Eleanor was running some stuff because her husband was too sick. Then it also brings to mind Nancy Reagan and Ronald Reagan. When he was going through what he was going through and having episodes of not remembering people and going through his journey of dementia and Alzheimer's, correct? She held down the fort, and it was kept away from the American people for months and months and months and months. So this does not surprise me with Mitch McConnell.
I just, what exactly is it? Like, so we're thinking all the Republicans who said they've talked to him lied, and no one had a 20-minute conversation with him. But why would they lie for him? Like, what's the benefit there? There's some like super grainy picture of somebody on life support that's, making its way across the internet, totally unverified photo. But it's like so pixelated, hard to say for sure that that's Mitch, but maybe it's Mitch. But again, I'm like, why lie? Like, oh, it's better for Republicans if Mitch McConnell is alert and having conversations. Like, I don't see what the benefit is to the Republican Party. It's not like, our election, any special election, is going to do anything to change the ultimate outcome of, it's not like he's going to drag his corpse on there to vote in the Senate. So again, but I do say this, there's one other element I wanted to bring up that the Lantern did a good story here that showed, kind of some other responses to this. And you got to give Robert Stivers credit. Senate President Robert Stivers, always looking for opportunities to throw shade at Andy Beshear. So, Robert Stivers, House Speaker David Osborne, both swear they've been getting text with McConnell since his hospitalization. Stivers said he's also talked with McConnell's state director and chief of staff, and that he's ordering them around. Typical. He's being briefed that, he said, Stivers goes on to say, it's tragic what a lot of people are trying to say. I think that's really bad, but I think it's in bad taste to send a letter asking you what type of condition you're in instead of picking up the phone and saying, how are you doing? Some people are showing their true colors, Robert Stivers said, because Andy sent a letter and didn't just pick up the phone to chat with his old buddy Mitch, because I'm sure they chat all the time. All right. Any final thoughts about this story?
I mean, the letter's obvious. You need handwritten evidence. So, like, I don't know.
Can I say I really don't care?
Yeah, whether he's brain dead or like having 20-minute conversations with Scott Jennings, sound to me feels like kind of the same thing, really.
Everybody had a 20-minute conversation. They probably were doing all the talking because he's brain dead. I don't know, but you know what? There's so many. He's lived his life. He's 84 years old. He started off good. He started from the bottom, and now he's here and went right back to the bottom. So, in my opinion, it's the trendiest thing going on right now. But honestly, let's ask ourselves, with everything else that's going on in the world, do you really care about Mitch McConnell?
I mean, big political figure in Kentucky. Obviously, when he does, shed this mortal coil, it'll be a big deal for this state. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to seeing a statue.
It'll be a lot of fakery.
Yeah, I mean,
It'll
they hate
be a
him.
lot of fakery.
The Republican Party right now is not a fan. We got to move on. As much as we'd like to talk about Mitch forever, we got to move on. Got to get to John Russell, who is our guest and who we are again very thrilled to have joining us this evening. So this guy really just came across my radar when I was watching the DNC at the Democratic National Convention, and wow, that was some righteous mullet that was there on the television. I'm like, who the heck is that guy? And I'm like, oh, they're having influencers. He's an influencer. I don't know what that is. I looked into it though. Holy crap, he's amazing. So he's with More Perfect Union. He's won a couple of Emmys with their online journalism, and More Perfect Union is if you do not check it out, I don't know how you could find Progress Kentucky's Kernels of Truth but not find More Perfect Union. But say that upside down universe has happened for you, you need to check out More Perfect Union on YouTube, wherever you're watching us. It is a digital media project started by Bernie Sanders' former campaign manager, Faz Shakir. And again, John has done just fantastic reporting from rural Appalachia, and we are just thrilled to have him. Welcome to the show, John.
Well, hey, everybody. Quite an intro. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I asked you for a bio and you didn't send me one, so I had to come up with something,
Yep. Those who know me have been through this before. I just deleted 30,000 emails from my inbox. Not like I get any important emails. They were all marketing, but I could get better.
Those who are not good on email, proudly raise your hand. And, it's like, guys, it was better. It's the enshittification of everything. All of our tech used to be better, and now it's horrible. Now they have algorithms going through our inboxes to keep things from us. It's crazy.
Unplug it.
Yeah.
Unplug it. Throw water on it.
Going back to smoke signals. That's what
Pigeons.
All right. So John Russell, You've won some awards, which is amazing. I want to have you take us a little bit through kind of what you've learned through the reporting you've done in Appalachia. There's 3 stories that really stuck out to me. The one that, because we're Kentucky, because we are Progress Kentucky, and we are very proud to be in Central Kentucky, which has a little bit of Appalachia in it. Elliott County is not in the 6th district where we tend to focus our time and energy, but it's not that far. Elliott County was, of course, an incredible story that you elevated. Tell us a little bit about it if folks have missed it or have forgotten.
Yeah. Well, I was glad to come down to Elliott County, and I had a heck of a time there. There was a guy, I was in oh man, I should remember it, but it was a corner store run by this guy named Donnie in Elliott County. It was 50 guns hanging off of the ceiling, and then he whipped out a jar of moonshine, even though he told me he didn't drink. And, we got into politics, and he thinks George Bush is a piece of shit and loves Donald Trump. But I originally got the idea for that just poking around, looking for stories, and saw there's only one county in the country that voted 144 years in a row for Democrats and then flipped by one of the biggest margins to vote for Trump, and that's Elliott County. And so I live and work in Wheeling, West Virginia, from Wellsville, Ohio. It's right at the tip of the northern panhandle over there in J.D. Vance territory, across the river from West Virginia and Ohio. But most of my reporting's on the area. I saw that about Elliott County and had to go down to figure it out. And that was the first Emmy that we won. And, you mentioned deep canvassing at the top of the show. And that's what a lot of our pieces end up being. It's having political conversations, all in interesting places like Elliott County, and talking to people in a way that is not really represented in how politics is covered on the TV or news. And it turns out when you do that, you uncover a lot of interesting stuff. And I think the relationship between Democrats and the labor movement and unions and standing up to corporations was a big part of the voting behavior in Elliott County. So we went down and covered that and a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah. Really amazing piece. If folks have not watched it, there will be a link in the show notes for sure, so you can find it. Because again, More Perfect Union really needs Progress Kentucky to help them elevate their stories.
That story was awesome. Actually, my second year of teaching high school was in Elliott County. And,
okay.
I grew up in Martin County, a little bit further eastern Kentucky. And I was like, man, they got to pump the sunshine up in Elliott County. There's one road in and out of there.
Yeah.
And when I saw that you were reporting on Elliott County, I'm like, what?
Yeah. Well, it was interesting how it came together because they only have one hotel, I think. And it's behind the Save-A-Lot. There's some dumpsters where the Save-A-Lot parking lot is, and then there's a motel behind that. I'm a huge country music fan. All eras, even the bad ones. I go to check into this hotel and I pick up a copy of the local paper, and I see that Flo Whitley is the editor of the paper down in Elliott County. Turns out, I believe the sister of Keith Whitley, who's from Elliott County. But it was that paper that ended up shaping most of the story. There was a public announcement that all the officials were meeting to discuss putting in a kayak launch. And I went down there and I said, hey, everybody from the county was gathered in one room to take care of some public business. And I said, what's up with the voting history here? And then they rattled off, when 8 people rattle off the same 4 names, that's how you know where to find the characters. So we found a lot of people who, had, just like the county, had a long history of voting for Democrats. And then someone like Donald Trump comes in and taps in to, some thinking that people were really loyal to the Democrats, but when they had that break with labor and it became unclear of who is standing with the working class, that allowed people like, Mitch McConnell and Trump to get in there and say, hey, it's not It's not these corporations causing your problems. It's people different than you. Of course, that's a lie, but it's one that sells. And if you have a vacuum left by a political party that's not really standing up for labor, unquestionably, I think that can explain like a lot of former Democrat territories that have recently gone Republican, which is the whole point of that video.
Yeah, and it's a really powerful video. I think you do kind of it lends itself well to another video that I think was really interesting. That you and Bernie Sanders hanging out in West Virginia and trying to get a handle of how those same types of voters, right, feels very similar to the LA County voters and how they're gonna view this like I don't know 70, 75-year-old socialist from Vermont. What was that one like?
You might not think he goes over so well, but there's definitely an audience for him. I mean, he won every county in West Virginia in the primary, and of course we knew that, and we wanted to take him. It feels like we've gone through many lifetimes with politics in the last 10 years. I feel like the last decade's been at least a half a century. But we wanted to bring Bernie back there after all of this stuff had gone down to see how people felt about him. My favorite part, actually, that this is not substance, but taking him to a Tudor's biscuit world. Where I think he made the biggest mistake of all. He got a platter instead of a sandwich. And he really wanted to stop at Wendy's, but his comms director was like, no, we have to make it, and people are waiting on us down at Tudor's. But I think that one, a national audience might not think a Vermont socialist is going to go over well in West Virginia. But if it's anything about the politics we're living through right now, I think, just like I said in the DNC speech, a lot of people are feeling politically homeless, and they're feeling less loyal to their parties. Certainly doesn't count for everybody. There's a lot of loyalty for Trump, but I think many people see the failures of today, and they see the establishments of both parties having their fingerprints all over it. I think that accounts for the rise of Trump. I think it accounts for the new wins that we're seeing on the Democratic side that are surprising. Mamdani in New York City, or someone like Abdul El Sayed going over in Michigan. Candidates who you might not think would succeed are succeeding all over the place. And I think that's because there's been a long number of years where people have felt politically homeless and let down by the establishments of both parties. But Bernie, of course, has been speaking to that for his whole career. And, Fox tries to paint him as one thing on their programs. But when you sit him down in front of Fox viewers, we saw in that video that people were like, they lied about you. They lied about you. And I'm realizing now, sitting across from you, listening to you talk about taking power back off of corporations, that, the media isn't what you are not what the media says you are.
Yeah. Well, I have one more story I want to get into a little bit, but you did elevate the Democratic socialists that are kind of ascendant right now, and not just in New York City, right? But it looks like probably in the Michigan primary. I don't know. Who knows? A fairly decent candidate had just dropped out because they didn't have a lane, so things look better and better, I guess, for Abdul El Sayed. We've got, I think we just elected our first Democratic socialist to the state house in Louisville.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. I haven't had him on the show yet, but that's on the to-do list for sure. But I'm hearing from my mother-in-law that, there's just all these socialists and communists, they don't love America, and they're going to do scary things, right? Like, how do you think? Sure, the voters in Democratic primaries are willing to select Democratic socialists. I have concerns about the word socialist. I get very nervous because it's been weaponized for so long and so seemingly effectively.
Yeah.
And now that it's like, it's always been lumped in with communism because, our civics education is so crappy, but, I don't know. How do you wrestle with that stuff?
I think at the end of the day, it comes down to, can I trust you? Are you going to deliver things that I can feel and see in my life? And are you going to be big when it's time to be big? Are you going to get steamrolled by the very obvious powers that are not just in red or blue areas? Like, one of the things that unites this country, I mean, you could be in the bluest blue or the reddest red, but the rent is still too high, and it's impossible to succeed on a scale as a small business. You can't compete with Walmart. The ownership of this country, the companies, they're big, they're not small, and that's whether you live in red America or blue America, right? So I think if you're a candidate who's going to fill potholes and stand up to Walmart, then it's less about what you're called and more about like who you are. And I think right now is a moment where that's succeeding more than any time in the past, when it was easy to just lump any march towards progress as scary, communist, and socialist, right? It's like, what are you going to do for me? Are you going to be able to stand up to the immense political corruption that's out there? And I think if people can gain that trust, then we might see surprising wins in places.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that one, Chris?
I have another question. I'm curious about. So with all the hollers and things that you've went up with all these stories, how many dogs and guns have been, have you had to run from?
Well, it does help that I look like this. And, I think the reason why I'm kind of succeeding in this role that I'm in right now, for More Perfect Union, and as a journalist that's going up a lot of hollers and talking to people with very different politics than me, is I've been able to have a normal conversation. And I'll go back to Elliott County, actually, because I was, the county seats 600 people. I'm going out to talk to a woman who lives far out from the county seat, and it's in a little complex of trailers, like way back there. And she loves Donald Trump. And, I came up and said, have you ever talked to a socialist before? And she said, no, what's that? And had I gone out there and said, I'm canvassing for the Democrats, a lot of times people, they've been furnished with the ammunition to know what to do in that situation. But it's been so long that somebody walked up a holler and introduced themselves as a socialist that there was a little conversation that could take place. And I said, hey, look, man, I'm just not down with Bezos and Elon is what it comes down to. I think we should own all these things.
I do, the only thing that's like less popular than Trump right now is like the Democratic Party, right? Yeah. But the Democratic candidates are doing awfully well in all these primaries because everyone knows, like, well, it's like it's the only option we've got right now, really, right? Mm-hmm. So I do think the candidates matter. I think the way they talk about the issues matters. I'm very interested to see how our race here in the 6th District of Kentucky proceeds. How Charles Booker versus bootlicker Barr. And Charles is incredibly good on the stump. Yeah. He is incredibly compelling. Really I think he's, I really hope he gets, Bernie and AOC to come to Kentucky and do some rallies in Louisville or Lexington or whatever to help elevate it. But, he's got a tough road for sure, statewide at a federal election in Kentucky. But I do think that the victories that we're seeing right now are very much a reflection that people are just done with the two-party system, and they think mostly it's failing everybody, right? So you got to have to be able to stand out.
And we're gonna have this. It's not like the two-party system's gonna go poof, but it's who's in the two-party system. Are they gonna deliver for me? Are they gonna stand up to things? We're getting data centers everywhere. That's a fascinating issue. I heard you talk a little bit about it at the top of the show. wheeling right now in the Ohio Valley. It's been deindustrialized, and they're planning on putting these data centers in everywhere. And that's one that's uniting people across the spectrum, like Democrats, Republicans. It doesn't really matter. I think everybody can see these data centers, the AI that they power. It's the tip of the spear for all the usual suspects, Elon and Peter Thiel and all of them. In West Virginia, they passed a law to strip local control away, so you don't even have a say in your local representatives can't do much if they've got a plan for one of these hyperscale, high impact facilities to come in. And so that kind of stuff is one of the things that are making people done with both parties. And once you get down to that, it's just who can stand up to this, and do you have a better plan?
When did West Virginia strip local control? That's wow.
Yeah, they passed a bill called HB 2014, and we covered this. Went down to do a story in Mingo County on a data center, and what that bill does is if it's above a certain size, 100 megawatts, it strips your local municipalities, your county commissioners, your city from having any regulatory, zoning, water, electricity, utilities, any control over these. And it puts it in the hands of the state house, and it flattens any regulation, puts these things right in. And of course, this bill was passed by a bunch of lobbyists. One of the things I think with these data centers is like they're kind of a bailout to dirty energy. These high impact facilities, every one of them's got a power plant built next to it. And if you're up in my area where all the frack gas wells are, well, it's a pretty convenient way to build a bunch of natural gas power plants right next to data centers. So the fossil fuel industry dumps a bunch of lobbying money into the West Virginia State House. They get a law that expedites these things, and they can build a bunch of power plants. So, stuff like that really shows what side you're on. And I think there's a reaction coming to that that's not Democrat or Republican. It's are you on the ground living with this, or are you Elon Musk?
Yeah. Are you going to willing to say no to that kind of alignment of big money and the oil and gas companies, big energy, et cetera? Because they're so thrilled about anything they can do to sell more energy, right? And especially like a guaranteed market for it. Meanwhile, did anyone ask for any of this AI? Right?
Yeah.
Is it really making anyone's life better? Like all these stupid add-ons.
I mean, I'm over here typing in what would I look like bald, but do I need that? I've got a patch growing on the back of this mullet, man. It's my job security.
All right, so let's quickly do the Springfield story, because again, really big one. It's one kind of really appropriate to what's going on right now with the Supreme Court kind of decisions that have come out and how it's affecting our immigrant community. But yeah, tell us a little bit about that story.
Well, it started when Donald Trump went on national TV and insisted that a bunch of Haitians in Springfield were eating dogs and cats and the pets of the people who lived there. And
I believe that was in a debate.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I remember. So we went down to figure out if that was true. Of course, it wasn't. We did even meet the cat that he was talking about, and how he even got that phrase actually has to do with JD Vance. There was a woman living in, she and her partner were formerly homeless. They were living in a house owned by a slumlord in a bad situation. And when you're living like that, you're looking for someone to blame. And Donald Trump says, reason why your life is hard is Haitians took things that should have been yours. And so she was a Trump fan. Her cat goes missing one day. And, she gets the idea to search for her missing cat in the trash can of her Haitian neighbor, where she found something that looks like skin. She called the cops, and a police report was made. She called JD Vance's office, who got a hold of it. Got a hold of the police report, that is, that this woman looked for her cat and found something like skin. JD Vance never got back to her, and instead that rumor made it into Donald Trump's mouth that Haitians were eating dogs and cats. So he's the political opportunist. He turned a lot of hatred towards Haitians. And Springfield, it's a unique situation. Of course, corporations made the decision to pack up and go make money where there were, in other countries where there's less labor laws. They moved out of Springfield. The town declined a lot. But then it received a bunch of Haitians who came here under temporary protected status. Both Republicans and Democrats had extended this program to people fleeing countries for violence or, in Haiti's case, the earthquake. And the Haitians moved to Springfield, and they opened restaurants, started working in jobs. They're a major part of the local economy. And so at issue in this, we explored what it would be like if Donald Trump, used a rumor that J.D. Vance kind of put on the radar to take a critically important population of people who are bringing back a deindustrialized town away. So he can continue this lie that it's immigrants causing our problems and not giant corporations. That's what that video was about. And it's ongoing because the Supreme Court recently struck down temporary protected status, which was protecting 350,000 Haitians across America who came here because Haiti is in terrible violence right now, has been for a while, and also had the earthquake. But now that population is subject to deportation, and the community's been preparing. They watch what happened in Minneapolis, and we're watching to see if ICE shows up there.
Yeah, just a terrible, terrible, one in a sea of horrible examples, but I do love that it, all comes back to J.D. Vance being an asshole.
Yeah, of course.
Who ain't from here.
That's right.
And, we, the folks who have, had to put up with him tying himself to Kentucky and, having those Appalachian roots is just, there's a lot of folks who are frustrated with that motherfucker. And hopefully hopefully he won't be on the political scene for that much longer. He doesn't seem like he's a very talented individual, but he certainly seems to be one who doesn't have any sort of, despite his book about his faith. I just wonder, where is he getting his guidance from, and what is the greater power that he's seeking to serve? Because
I think it's actually Dick Cheney from the underworld. Have we considered that?
That's the first time I'm thinking about that, but it's worth a little more thought for sure.
Yeah, roll it out.
Now, but here's the thing, and I'm gonna just say it. I thought that Cheney had a little bit of a come to Jesus moment towards the end there, right? Didn't he? His, stood proudly with his lesbian daughter. Trump, but you think that was? Yeah.
I guess he, stuck the rainbow flag on there, but I still remember. I came of age during the Bush and Cheney years. Yeah, you got a lot of splaining to do, as the saying goes.
All right. Well, hey, I just want to say thanks for being so generous with your time. Really appreciate the perspective you shared and the stories you've shared and the work you're doing. So yeah, again, really important work, and keep it up, because we do need to figure out and I think a lot of it is what you model. We're just gonna go talk to people, and we're gonna find that common ground. Deep canvassing isn't a dark art. It's just really talking to people without just coming with your agenda and jamming it down their throat immediately, right? Yeah. And that's if you've canvassed for a candidate, there's not a lot of back and forth. Here's the guy I want you to vote for, and here's why you should vote for him. Which, if you're pretty much done with the political system as is, because it hasn't really done much for you, that's not going to do much.
Yeah, and good for us that any human is automatically programmed to be able to talk to another human. And I like to talk about how billionaires shouldn't run this whole place. I think that sucks. And I think a lot of people believe that, and we should talk about it until it's not the case anymore.
Till somebody does something about it. How about?
Yes, please.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, John Russell.
Yep. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Wow. What what an honor. So glad to have that conversation. Chris, always a pleasure to have a chat with you. I don't know if you've got the the interest in closing out the show, but we'd be honored.
Let me get over to do that.
Or we seem to have lost Kimberly somewhere along the way. I think it's always good for the narrative of the show to acknowledge when a co-host mysteriously disappears in the middle of an interview. But
yeah, you're good. All right, I got the close up. All right, Progress Kentucky is a nonprofit organization registered with the Kentucky Secretary of State and organized as a 501c4. We are affiliated with the Indivisible Project and Common Ground Kentucky Action, and are also proud members of Forward Kentucky Network. Progress Kentucky's goal is to educate, organize, increase voter turnout, and advance a progressive agenda through civic engagement. We'll be back next week, and we'll be joined by former state representative and Kentucky 6th candidate, Sherilyn Stevenson. Production of episode 266 was by Zoe. Thank you, Zoe. And Nate Orsham wrote and performed our theme song. You can find more information and music at NATO Song. If you missed and show notes are available on Apple, Spotify, and whatever or wherever you get your podcasts. If you do listen to the pod, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you are listening right now. Thanks for joining us on Kernels of Truth.